HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Tabard Inn, new American cuisine in one of Washington, D.C.'s oldest hotels, located in DuPont Circle. For more information, visit tabardinn.com.
Hardcore is a new series from Heritage Radio Network. Over 6 episodes, we're taking a close look at the rebirth of American cider.
Really, it wasn't until about 10 years ago that cider started to be revitalized in the United States.
From the science of fermentation.
So yeast, it's a fungus. It's a unicellular fungus.
To the magic of terroir.
What really excites us is thinking about communicating that very sort of spiritual aspect of knowing a piece of land.
We're setting aside our cider donuts to gain a deeper understanding of this singular beverage.
I love a cider donut. You don't have to have a cider donut with your cider, and I will die on that point.
Subscribe to Hardcore wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome to the Grape Nation, your weekly wine journey. Our guest is Gianluca Bisol. We'll talk to Gianluca about Prosecco and Bisol. We'll taste a few Bisols that Gianluca was kind enough to bring in for our weekly wine sip. I'm your host, Sam Ben-Ruby. Stay with us for the Grape Nation on the Heritage Radio Network. We bring wine to the people. Gianluca Bisol is the president and CEO of Bisol Prosecco Superiore in Valdobbiadene Conigliano in the Treviso Veneto region of northeast Italy. That's a mouthful. The Bisol family dates back 5 centuries to 1542 and 21 generations and produces sought-after Proseccos of the highest quality. Welcome to the Grape Nation, Gianluca.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody. And I'm very happy to be here. And ciao to everybody.
Okay, that's a nice hello. I want people to know you a little better. So can you give us a little background on your journey in life and wine that got you to running the family business? How'd you get there?
Yeah, I born in the vineyard. My house is inside the vineyard.
Okay.
I live in a hill in Valdobbiadene that is a beautiful area. I suggest all of you to visit this place because it's only 1 hour from Venice, the beautiful city of on the water in Italy, and so you can enjoy the city of Venice and in 1 hour to arrive in these wonderful hills that from around 3 months become heritage of UNESCO. So one of the best places.
It'll be a UNESCO
world.
region.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Very nice.
So I lived there, and from when I was child, I was in the winery all the afternoon after the school, because my grandmom bring me around the winery, and my father bring me to see the vineyard, my uncle also, and my other uncle, the winemaker also. So I saw everything about the winery and the vineyard in my life, and I fall in love with this activity. And I from when I was very, very small, like 5 years, I always know exactly what I had to do in my life. So to promote the hard work of generation in these hills around the world. And this is what I do in the last 33 years.
So at a young age, you knew you were going to come back or stay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, did you go off to college or?
Yes, after I study economy, because my father was suggest me to study economy, because if you have a winery, you have also to manage very well, like it's a company,
Sure.
It's a big investment.
Sure.
And so I studied in Venice, a beautiful city, for 4 years. And after I studied also in another university, I studied communication and sociology. So I had a great opportunity to grow with the culture of economy and the culture of humanity and social question. So my aim is to preserve what we do in the nature. So I'm very sensible to the vineyard, to the nature, and I do everything for maintain this tradition and maintain the sustainability of our winery.
So at what point did you ascend to the position of running the whole, winery? How long have you been doing that?
I work in the winery from 1987.
Okay.
And at the beginning, I do production. I work in the
Everything.
vineyard, everything. The winery was very small. Also, if it's a winery that have a long tradition, 21 generation, I'm the 21st generation.
Right.
So 500 years. But the Prosecco of Valdobbiadene, Prosecco Superiore, was a local product for the local market. We sell the bottle like all the other producer in Veneto region, a little bit in Milan, a little bit in Rome, the capital of Italy, and a lot of bottle in Venice for sure, because the tourists love to drink a Prosecco under the Tower of Venice.
Right.
And after this, I learned a lot, and after 10 years, my father was involved in the consortium, so leave me the opportunity to manage the winery, and so from this I start to work very hard, also in the management of the winery and the investment in new vineyard, investment in new machinery for the bottling line.
Modernization?
Exactly, modernization,
Right.
because you know that Prosecco is a very delicate wine, very, very sensible to any kind of wrong choice. So you need to protect him like a small baby.
You got to get it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise.
So we use we invest in a lot of steel tank. That is the best way to maintain the flavor, the cold temperature, and the bottling machine that avoid the oxygen to damage the wine.
Let me ask you this, and you're probably not going to agree with it, and I don't necessarily agree with it either, but I get a sense that people feel this way. Why doesn't Prosecco get the respect sometimes of other sparkling wines, and certainly champagne? Now, it's not a tough question for you because you make cru Proseccos,
Yes.
but Prosecco in general,
Yes.
it's probably come a long way, but why doesn't it get there? Do you agree with me a little?
Yes, I'm always work hard for elevate the perception of the Prosecco, because I know that in the market the people take the Prosecco like a commodity, like something like was the Chianti, for example.
Right. Good example.
30 years ago. So
not
like,
the best representation of the region.
Exactly.
Right.
So I'm so sure that we can change this perception, because in every tasting that I do, in every presentation that I do, in every trip that I do around the world in the markets, every time that I meet someone and I taste my wines, my Prosecco Superiore with them, everybody at the end tell, wow, I didn't know that Prosecco was so good. Thank you, Gianluca, because I didn't know. I always drink normal Prosecco, but I tell also, yes, this is for the Prosecco, but this is also for other wines. For example, I think Bordeaux. There are bottles of Bordeaux that have a very cheap cost and cheap quality, and there are Bordeaux that is incredible. There is champagne that are commercial and champagne that are unique. So there is space.
I think your point is well taken. In every region, there are wines that are not so great and cheaper, and then
But
I think Prosecco gets more attention towards the lower end.
You are right, because Prosecco didn't underline under now that there are the best version of Prosecco, like there is in the best version of Champagne, the best version of Bordeaux, the best version of Chianti, that wasn't 30 years ago.
Right.
Now we are building the perception of the best version of Prosecco Superiore, and we have everything for doing this. My family own 20 plots only in the hills of Valdobbiadene and Conegliano, and in these 20 plots we have 5 different kinds of soil, and we produce 5 different Prosecco Superiore from 100% of each of these 5 soil.
Tell me some of the soils, like a clay.
Yes, one is clay soil, that is the Crede, the most brut version that we
Crede
produce.
is the name of one of the bottlings.
Yes, exactly. Another one is calcareous soil, is Molera. Another one is Marne soil, that is Rive di Campea. Another one is morenic soil, that is Relio. And another one is sand soil, that is Cartizze.
Okay. Now, that's the soil. Let's talk about the geography, because you talked about hills.
Yeah.
And there's something about Prosecco where the best Proseccos are grown
in the hills.
Why?
Well, because originally the Prosecco was cultivated only in the hills of Valdobbiadene, Conegliano, and Asolo. Because the grape that creates the Prosecco is a very sensible kind of grape. It's the Glera grape. And
stay with that.
Yes.
Because most people have no idea what the grape in Prosecco is. If you say to somebody Burgundy, they'll say Pinot, Bordeaux, Cabernet. If you say Prosecco, they'll go, isn't it the Prosecco grape? Which is also right. But it's the Glera grape, Glera.
Exactly.
Tell me a little about that grape. It's indigenous to the area. What are the qualities and characteristics?
It's indigenous of the area. It's a very sensible grape. It's very sensible of the change of the soil, the change of altitude, the change of the microclimate. The excursion of temperature are very important for this kind of grape because it's an aromatic grape. So if you plant this grape in a hill in which you have a big excursion of temperature, you obtain a lot of flavor. If you plant this vine in a flat area with not many excursion of temperature and a normal soil, the quality is good, but not very, very good.
That's why the hills produce the best grapes.
So this wine, this sparkling wine, have big success in Italy in the 80s year, and not abroad until the beginning of the 90 years. But after, when started to be sold abroad, the sales go up very, very fast, and so at this moment there was not enough Prosecco in the hills, so a lot of people plant vineyard in the flat area of Veneto and Friuli.
To stay up with demand?
Yes, exactly. But in this other areas in the flat area, the denomination of the Prosecco is not Prosecco Superiore of Valdobbiadene, Conegliano, and Asolo, like the historical Prosecco, but is simple Prosecco DOC.
So there's a DOC and a DOCG. Those are organizations that.
Yes.
How do you explain what they are?
So, Prosecco DOCG, Prosecco is the Prosecco Superiore that you can find in the label.
DOCG.
Right. Prosecco Superiore you find in the label, and also the name of the big village of this area that are Valdobbiadene, Conegliano, and Asolo. But if you don't find this name, like Superiore, Valdobbiadene, Conegliano, and Asolo, you have a simple Prosecco from the flat area of Veneto and Friuli. Every 6 bottles of Prosecco that are produced every year
is Superiore.
Superiore is only 1. So 5 bottles are produced in the flat area of Veneto and Friuli.
Does that reflect through the amount of hectares? There's way more hectares on the flats than on the hill.
Yes.
Production.
There was not enough space in the hills because in the hills we preserve also the nature. So we have a lot of woods. We have very biodiversity. So the unique system to allow the producer to give the bottle to the market was to plant in the flat area, but with a different denomination. So the vineyards that are in the flat area of Veneto and Friuli that produce the normal Prosecco are vineyards that didn't exist 30 years ago. They was planted for the demand of the market.
So is all of the Prosecco made in the flatlands just commodity, or there are some good makers down there?
Oh, there is some exception because for sure is a flat area, but there is around 3-4% of this area that are in small hills, in which you can arrive at good quality, but never at the quality that you can arrive in Valdobbiadene.
Tell me 2 more things. We talked about the soil. We talked about the grape. I want people to be able to close their eyes and understand where Prosecco is grown, where your vineyards are. You are located in the northeast of Italy, and your vineyards are influenced by 2 different sort of climate patterns.
Yes.
What are they?
Yeah, we are near the sea, about around 50 miles from the sea. So the sea, Adriatic Sea, that is the Sea of Venice.
Right.
So we are 50 miles from here, north of this, in the northeast of Italy. So in the part of Italy that is south of Austria, and in the right we have Slovenia and Croatia. And so we are in this part, and the hills are 50 miles from the sea, but also 50 miles from the Dolomites. This is the reason why also we have a wonderful expression of the flavor of the grape. Not only thanks to the soil, but also thanks to this excursion of temperature, because you imagine that every day the vines and the grapes bring the air from the sea, that is not very cold, and in the night bring a very cold air from the Dolomites that create a lot of excursion of temperature inside.
Is that, I don't know if perfect's the right word, but is that perfect for growing, the Glera grape and making Prosecco?
Exactly.
You get all the proper influences?
Yes, this is the reason why.
So you have mountain and sea influence.
Exactly.
You mentioned before that there was a demand for Prosecco, so they started growing on the flat. When did this popularity, when did all this happen? Not that long ago, right?
No.
I mean, the boom in Prosecco is 10 years, less, a little more?
No, it's around 25 years.
Okay.
How
and why did it happen?
I'm a little bit responsible of this with other products.
Well, you need ambassadors and spokespeople, and you need to bring...
I remember when I went to London to try to sell my Prosecco in London, and nobody wanted to buy because the people didn't know Prosecco in 1989 in London. So I tried to convince an importer to import my wine, but the 9 importers that I met, they tell me,
"You're crazy.
Sorry, there is no market for this sparkling wine because here they drink only champagne." Okay, I tell, but if they drink champagne, I think that sometimes they can also try something different. Oh, no possible. So at the end, I convinced the 3 best Italian restaurants in London, at the end, to pour my Prosecco like welcome in the dinner and in the lunch. And after 6 months, the importers start to call me because the people tasted this Prosecco and fall in love with this and ask this Prosecco in the shops, in the other restaurant. And so the importers call me and I give the Prosecco to an importer that start this. And now, after how many years? 30 years, every 4 bottles of Prosecco, 1 is sold in UK.
Really?
Incredible. But for sure, I opened the door for a lot of different Proseccos.
You pioneered the category for others. Yeah. What about same time in the United States, or was it a little later?
In the United States was a little bit later, was 92, in which I started to sell in the United States.
Same thing, came across, really walk bottles into restaurants?
Yes, the first year we sold 80 cases of Prosecco. Was very difficult because everybody tell me, oh, it's difficult, the people don't know. But I know that the people like to try something new. Every time in our life, we love to try something that they didn't try before. And so the opportunity arrived also for the Prosecco. And so from this, we grown.
So when you were in the States and even in London, and you were literally schlepping bottles of Prosecco to the restaurants, there were not many others, if any, doing the same for Prosecco. The first taste of Prosecco that London and these restaurants in the States...
London was me, and in the States was me and other producer.
So the good news is they got a taste of a superiority and the best example.
Yes, they start with the superiority at the end. Now the major part buy the basic Prosecco because it's less expensive.
Right. But that also depends on the restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, a very good restaurant's going to have the superiority in a cheaper restaurant.
I remember that when I went in New York the first time, I had 3 lunch and 3 dinner because my aim was to meet the best sommelier of the city to speak with them. So I have 3 lunch and 3 dinner. I grown in my...
I'll give you credit. For somebody who eats 3 lunches and 3 dinners, you're very trim. But maybe that's why your hair fell out. Who knows? All right. So we talked about, how you came through the business and all that. Give me a little history of the winery and the family. We talked that it went back 1572, but, who was responsible? What influence did your dad have, your grandfather?
But the winery have a long tradition. It's 1542, but generation by generation, the family buy piece of land in the highest and steepest hills, where is the best position for the Prosecco Superiore, and this happened every generation. But there was one generation that was the most difficult. Was the generation of my grandfather. My grandfather, Gio, was the 19th generation, and he lived during the 2 World War.
Tough.
In the period in which the bomb destroyed a part of the winery, a lot of part of the vineyard. So he rebuilt everything, and he was a very smart man. He was with his Moto Guzzi, red Moto Guzzi around the hills, and after rebuilding the winery, he also started to buy other land in the best soils. And
so he was determined
yes.
that the business, despite the war,
exactly,
would continue.
And he was the first in the history of the family to recognize the different character of the glera from the different kind of soil in the hills. So it's thanks to him if now we are the only one winery that have a collection of 5 different Prosecco Superiore from 5 different kind of soil.
Which we'll talk about in a minute. Those are crus. So kudos to him. That's Gio, and there's a a wine named after him, which we'll talk about in a minute. All right, so we've been talking about the property in the hills, Valdobbiadene. Tell me about how much property you have. Let's talk about your farming practices.
Yeah.
I understand that you farm organically.
Yes.
Tell me how and why.
Yeah. We own now 52 hectares. That is like in acres is around 130 acres, and we own these 52 hectares in 20 plots, only in the hills, and we separate the different plots in terms of kind of soil. This is why we can produce this collection of 5 single soil, and we work all by hand. No, nothing is mechanical.
Explain why.
Because
you have to.
We have to because the inclination of the vineyard, the steepness, is too high. You can't go
machinery.
inside with the machine. So we spend more or less 900 hours of handwork per hectare per year, when normally in a vineyard you need 70 hours with the machine.
I was going to say, so for perspective, it's 90 versus 70.
Yes, and so 12 times the work
Right.
in the hills, and we do. We try to do the different protocol that they create for the organic system, like biodynamic and bio. But at the end, we didn't like to have a protocol that someone decide without know our special condition of terroir. So at the end, we met Stefano Zaninotti, that is a researcher that had proposed us a very smart, very interesting and sustainable system, because he speak about the naturalism. That is a method in which you take care at what happen in every day in the vineyard. So you look how many herbs are around the vines, how many insects there are around the vines, how big is the life underground where the roots go down in the soil. So these 3 aspects are our most important thing to obtain the maximum biodiversity in our vineyard. So we measure every 3 months how many herbs, how many insects, how many life underground, and our aim is to increase this in the time.
Right.
If you use some system like bio, for example, you have to use a lot of copper, and the copper is a toxic metal that go underground
Leaches into the ground.
it can kill a lot of life underground. So we be very careful to what we do, and we look at the effect of what we do. And when our vines, at the roots of our vines, go underground and find a lot of vitality, they do the best.
Right.
And they create the best for our bunch of the grain.
So you have no problem letting a grandkid run through the vineyards barefoot?
Exactly.
No pesticides,
No.
copper, all of that?
Or we use only what is perfect for growing the biodiversity.
Right. That's the way to do it. Now, what about cellar practices? You know, that's viticulture. Now let's talk about winemaking. First, give people an idea how Prosecco is made. I've had many champagne makers on, and they've walked us through the process of champagne. This is a different method.
Yes.
So give us just a basic,
Yes.
primer on how you make Prosecco.
First of all, I'd like to underline the difference from the champagne.
Please.
Yeah, because when we are speaking, when you think about the sparkling wine, the bubbles, you are thinking about champagne, because champagne is the king of
Right.
bubble. I love champagne. I'm one of the fan of champagne, of the small producer, the good, the Grand Cru. But champagne is a method, is a kind of grape that is the result is a style that is fantastic, is unique. And a lot of winery around the world try to do the same method with the same grape, but in different area in the world. So it's like an imitation of the champagne.
Method champenois.
Champenois, yes. Prosecco is another thing. Is don't have anything to connect with champagne. Not the method is a different method. Not the grape, because it's a different grape. So it's a different world.
It's almost singular, the grape. Glera is 85%
85%.
Right.
And is an aromatic grape. The method is a second fermentation natural, like the champagne, but not in the bottle, but in a tank, a steel tank. Why? Not for saving, but because it's the only way to preserve the original flavor of the grape. If you do champenoise method with the Prosecco, and we do only for show what happened, you lose a little bit of the original flavor, because the flavor of the yeast bring the place of the original flavor.
So the characteristics of champagne, that doughy, yeasty brioche,
Yes.
that's because it's left in the bottle.
In the
on
bottle
yeast.
and the big contact of the yeast with the wine, the sparkling wine that transform. In the Prosecco, we don't want this, so we use a tank, a steel tank, in which the surface of the yeast is not big like in the single bottle, and so we preserve the original flavor from this. But the fermentation is the same. Is a natural fermentation. But the only difference is that we don't want, for the Prosecco Superiore and for the Prosecco, we don't want to bring the flavor of the yeast. So we separate after 2 months, when the natural fermentation finish. For the champagne and all the sparkling wine that we use the same system in the world, they don't separate the yeast from the sparkling wine after 2 months when finished the fermentation, but they leave for 9 months, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, because they want to bring the flavor of the yeast.
So the two prominent and obvious things are the grape, Glera versus Chardonnay, Meunier, Noir, and the second fermentation, right?
Yes.
Bottle versus steel tanks. Now, there's a term in champagne, dosage, which is the addition of sugar. How does that apply to Prosecco?
Yeah, for the champagne, you know that the fermentation finishes totally. For the Prosecco, thanks to the fact that we have the second fermentation in the steel tank, we can also control the temperature of the fermentation, and we can stop the fermentation with the cold temperature. Around the steel tank, there are fridge
cooling units
that go down with the temperature in 12 hours from 18 degree, from 15 degree to 0 degree, and the yeast stop to ferment and remain a little bit of the sugar residual. This is in the second fermentation.
Right, which champagne does not do.
No, they can't stop the fermentation because it's in every single bottle.
Right, totally different in that sense. You can't make champagne outside of champagne. You could call it method champenoise. Can you make Prosecco outside of Prosecco?
Not now, because from 2009, thanks to our president, Luca Zaia, that is the president of our region, that in this period was also the Minister of Agriculture in Italy, we start in 2008 and finish in 2009 a process to close the door of the border in which you can plant the Prosecco. So thanks to this idea, we protect the original Prosecco. For sure, and at this time, there was also Prosecco planted outside the original area of Valdobbiadene, Conegliano, and Asolo. So we have to take to decide to close inside this new terroir. But the border of the original area is the same of 1969 when was born the denomination. So inside this area there are more vineyards, but the border was the same. And the new area that closed the door from expand Prosecco in other region or abroad is a big area from Veneto to Friuli, in which now there are more or less 25,000 hectares of Prosecco DOC that are with the 10,000 hectares of Prosecco Superiore di Valdobbiadene, Conegliano and Asolo.
So everything you just mentioned, as long as it's made in that area, is Prosecco. Anything outside of those designated regions, you cannot call it Prosecco.
No, you can call Prosecco, yes.
Okay.
At maximum, there is some region in which you can plant glera and use like glera, but you can't call Prosecco.
Right. We're talking to Gianluca Bisol. Gianluca is a 21st generation winemaker from the Bisol Superiore family. Gianluca, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I have a couple of more questions, and then I want to specifically get into your Proseccos, and let's talk about these plots and the soils and the single vineyard plantings and all of that. You're listening to The Grape Nation. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Tabard Inn. Tabard Inn, Washington, D.C.'s quintessential hotel, is located on a quiet, tree-lined street just 5 blocks from the White House. Vibrant yet unassuming, the Tabard is comprised of 40 sleeping rooms, each unique in character and design. Feast on an eclectic American cuisine in their acclaimed restaurant, or enjoy a cocktail and listen to live jazz in one of their cozy Victorian seating areas. Mingle with travelers from around the world who find the Tabard the only place to stay when taking their travels to Washington. For more information, visit tabardinn.com.
Join Heritage Radio Network on Monday, November 11th for a raucous feast to toast a decade of food radio. Our 10th anniversary Bacchanal is a rare gathering of your favorite chefs, mixologists, storytellers, thought leaders, and culinary masterminds. We'll salute the inductees of the newly minted HRN Hall of Fame, who embody our mission to further equity, sustainability, and deliciousness. Explore the beautiful Palm House and Yellow Magnolia Cafe, taste and imbibe to your heart's content, and bid on once-in-a-lifetime experiences and tasty gifts for any budget at our silent auction. Tickets available now at heritageradionetwork.org/gala.
All right, we're back. We're back with my guest, Gianluca Bisol, from Bisol 1542, Prosecco Superiore. Before we get into the Bisol Proseccos, I had one more question. And you may have answered this, but you're going to have to be a little more specific. What's the difference between Cru Prosecco and Prosecco? Is it the hills and the how do you determine that?
So if you think of the word of Prosecco, you have to think like a pyramid. In the base of the pyramid, there is the Prosecco DOC in the flat area of Veneto and Friuli. And in the top of the pyramid, there is the Prosecco Superiore. In the very top of the pyramid, there is a small area that is called Cartizze, that is the best hill of the Prosecco.
Isn't that part of Bisol?
Yes. We own the vineyard of Cartizze in the top of the hill since 1542.
How big is it?
It's 2 hectares.
That's it?
2 hectares.
So
our vineyard.
That's the top of the game. That's the best Cartizze.
The best of the best. And
how long has it been in the family?
From 1542.
Oh, so
it's
not something you acquired.
No,
it was something.
Yeah, and this is the highest part of the hill. The total hill of Cartizze is 107 hectares, and we own 2 hectares in the top of the hill.
Very nice.
So inside the Prosecco Superiore, that is the highest category of Prosecco before the Cartizze, you can find around 10,000 hectares in which there is a selection of rive. Rive is considered the best places in the area, so you can find 43 rive. And the rive is the name of the small town, the small village inside the area. So when you speak about Prosecco Superiore, you have also the opportunity to go inside the Prosecco Superiore to find the best places inside the Prosecco Superiore.
Interesting.
And we do this with our vineyard.
So let's talk about the Bisol Proseccos. You make, I don't know how many, 12, 15 different types of Proseccos?
We do 7 type of Prosecco.
So you have a classic range, you make single vineyard,
Exactly.
you make some specialty.
Yes, we have the Geo that is dedicated to my grandfather. That is a cuvée.
Geo is Jeio.
Exactly.
That's your grandfather's
Yes, the
first
name of my grandfather. Yes.
Isn't Geo a little different than the other ones, or?
Yes, because Geo is a cuvée of 3 soil, 3 hills with 3 kind of soil: sand soil, clay soil, and morenic soil. Together, these 3 soil was the best soil for my grandfather. So we dedicate to him to celebrate his 100 years from the born.
So the blend is a tribute to what he thought
him.
was.
Yes, he was the man that decided in our winery, in our vineyard, to separate these 5 different kind of soil.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I read somewhere. Geo is no sulfur or no added, or
No. There is a small added of sulfur,
but it's a low sulfur.
Very low sulfur.
Okay.
All our Prosecco is a very low sulfur.
Okay.
Because we work to obtain a very good quality in the vineyard, so we don't need a lot of
Right.
sulfur.
That's because the climate
Yes.
gives you the opportunity
The
to
climate
not have
and the
to
small
intervene.
quantity per hectare. Also.
Right, right. So you have Geo. Then tell me about the other bottling.
The other 5 Prosecco are 5 Prosecco Superiore that represent 5 different kind of soil. So we have Crede that is from clay soil, so give the wine more body, and in this kind of
Crede,
soil.
Crede.
Exactly.
And that's considered a single vineyard.
Single vineyard, not single vineyard,
Not
single
single
soil.
Single soil.
Single
right,
soil,
Right.
clay soil. And thanks to this soil, we obtain from the Prosecco Superiore more floral flavors. After we have the Relio, that is a morenic soil, and morenic soil give more minerality to the same kind of grape.
Rello?
As Relio.
Lio. Relio.
Relio,
Right.
yes. That was the name of my
Okay.
uncle. And in this, we obtain a Prosecco Superiore that is more integral, more masculine, more mineral. Very interesting, the difference. Another one is a calcareous soil that is a Molera. Molera is more rich of flavor of fruit flavor. And also
Molera? Molera?
Molera.
Molera.
Exactly.
Okay.
And another one is Campea. Campea is from Marne soil. And this create a very interesting mix from floral to fruit taste.
So, if there's a style that you like within one,
of this soil?
within one huge hillside, you can pick the style that you like.
Yes.
Whether it's Crede, Relio.
Crede, Relio, Molera.
Now, those are what? The
Cartizze.
classic? What do you, the single, how do you designate what we just talked about?
Prosecco Superiore.
Superiore. Okay, now, all right, so what else? Geo?
Geo.
Those
Geo
individual
Brut.
soil.
Geo Brut and Geo Extra Dry.
Okay.
That is a cuvée of 3 kind of soil. Single soil Crede, that is a clay soil. Single soil Molera, that is a calcareous soil. Single soil Campea, that is a Marne soil. Single soil Relio, that is a morenic soil. And single soil Cartizze, that is a sand soil. The best soil in the area, in the only hill in which you can leave the grape 10 days more without losing acidity. And this helps a lot to obtain the maximum effect from the original flavor.
All right, and then do you make specialty? Are there other?
Yes, there is one very interesting specialty that is the private Cartizze. Private Cartizze is a traditional method, not Martinotti. Is the method in which we show what happens if we use the method
The
of champagne.
champagne.
Yeah. And
You make that every year? Or?
No, not every year, but only in some years, some best harvest, and we go to choose the best grape of the Cartizze hill.
So what do you think? I mean, do you like the method Champenois for the Glera grape? Is it Glera or you use other grapes?
We use Glera.
Okay.
Well, 100%
So tell me,
Glera.
if you did a side-by-side by your favorite
Yes.
bottling, and the Cartesa, the special one.
Yeah. For find this proportion of influence from the original flavor of the grape and the influence of the yeast, we have to try many different timing of contact of the yeast in the bottle. At the end, we decide that 21 months is the perfect timing for don't lose the original flavor and to obtain also the yeast flavor. This is a very intriguing expression of the Prosecco.
You can't go buy champagne because it's either Chardonnay or Pinot Noir. You had to experiment with Glera. So what'd you say, 21 months?
21 months, yes.
Interesting.
Very zero sugar residual.
All right, one last thing. What's the perfect temperature to serve Prosecco and what type of glass? Champagne, the answer used to be a flute, no more. People used to serve it too cold. What's the best way to enjoy Prosecco and in what kind of glass?
Okay, it depends in which season, for my opinion.
Okay.
In summer, I prefer a little bit colder because after in the glass become hot, a little bit
Fair.
hot. And also, if it's a good Prosecco, you don't need to be too cold. If it's a normal Prosecco, it's better that it's cold because it's not very...
Right, the flavor comes out if it's not that cold.
But if you have a Prosecco like Bisol, I suggest 8 Celsius.
Right.
Yes.
And what type of glass? Not a flute, right?
Not a flute. I prefer the...
White wine glass is fine?
Exactly, because you can enjoy better the original flavor in the mouth.
Got it. All right. A couple more things, and then we got to wrap up. I ask all my guests to answer our wine list. It's 5 questions. You didn't know what the questions are. Spontaneous. Don't dwell on the answers. These are your preferences. So the first question is, what are you drinking now? What are you experimenting with? What's on the table? What's in your fridge? What are you drinking other than your wines?
Yeah, I love the wines from volcanic soil.
Okay.
Yes, I think that volcanic soil will be the next trend, one of the next trend, because the wines from volcanic soil are very rich in minerality and very long. They have a longevity.
And there is some volcanic soil up by you in the northeast, right?
In northeast of Italy, in 1 hour from Venice, there is an area that is called Colli Euganei, in which I invest in a winery because I love this kind of soil and the autochthon vine of this area. So there are white wines like yellow muscat that, thanks to this kind of soil, create a very interesting and unique complexity in minerality and longevity.
Does that mean you like Sicilian wines too? Not as much?
Yeah, I love Aeolian wine, yes.
All right. Good one on that. Tell me about a favorite wine restaurant or bar.
For me?
Yeah, let's say around the vineyard. I would say New York, but you're not in New York that much. If somebody was visiting the area, who does wine well? They know the wine. They have a great selection. It's a nice place.
Yeah, in our area there is a wonderful restaurant in general, but one of the best for the wine is Gigetto restaurant. And
spell for me.
Gigetto. Gigetto.
Okay.
And Lino, Lino.
Lino.
These 2 restaurants have a wonderful wine list and wine cellar underground at the restaurant. You can't imagine how many bottles and how beautiful it is to see this. And the cuisine of this restaurant is incredible, very high quality, and you can match this incredible wine.
That's exactly what I was looking for. I tell my listeners, I post all these answers on social media. So everything you tell me, I'm going to put out there. I skipped a question. This is usually the second question. Do you have a favorite wine and food pairing? Is there something, not that you eat every night or even every month, but something that you, when you open this bottle of wine with this food?
I realize something that is unique and
that's okay.
Is my preferred wine is a wine that I produce, but is a different one. Is in an island in Venice, in which I discovered in 2001 a local autochthon variety, and I rebuilt this whole tradition in the islands of Venice, in which the soil is incredible because it's an incredible mix of sand, lime.
What's the grape? What's the wine?
The local grape that I found in 2001 is Dorona.
Dorona, Dorona.
Exactly.
Dorona.
And it was an autochthon grape that I found only 3 vines in an island and other 85 vines in other islands. And I rebuilt this tradition, and I made this 1 hectare vineyard in the island. And in front of the vineyard, I rebuilt a restaurant. I rebuilt the houses, and I started a restaurant that now I have a star Michelin. So
nice.
When I go there, I love to drink this wine. That is a white wine, very rich because it's ready 4 years after the harvest. It's still white wine, never to compare to other kind of wine. It's very rich, a lot of body. If you close the eyes and you drink this wine, it seems to be a red wine, but it's a white wine.
It's got that kind of body.
Yes, and I used to drink this with moeke. That is a local crab.
What's it called?
Moeke in Venice. Moeke is fried local crab.
So crab and Dorona.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's a first for this show. All right, 2 more questions. Do you have in all your travels and all the family being in wine, being all over the world, do you have a favorite all-time wine? Is there a wine that is important to you, or you tasted it and fell in love? Could you remember a wine or two?
Yes. There are more than one, but...
That's okay. Give me a couple.
Yeah, okay. When I find Bourgogne, old white wines from Bourgogne, I bring the bottle because I love the evolution of the white wines. For me, a white wine that have a structure and body and is the best evolution for the wine.
Anything particular?
Yeah, Domaine Leflaive.
Leflaive? Okay, you got good taste. You said there's more than one. What else?
The other one is the king of the bubble for me is Celos.
Celos is truly a master.
Every time that
I can't agree with you
I know
more.
him from 30 years.
All right, those are good ones. I usually ask my guests, recommend the best wines for around $15, $20 US. But what I want to ask you is, within the Bisol line, where is the best value? If somebody wants to go entry.
In the Bisol production?
Which
for me is the Crede. Crede is the best quality value proportion.
Price-wise too, quality to value.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the Crede. All right. Good job on that. All right, listen, we have to get you out of here, but before we go, we have a segment called the Weekly Wine Sip, where we taste and evaluate a wine on air. This was a great opportunity for you to bring in a wine. So tell me what you brought in, and then let's just give it a quick taste.
I have in my hand a bottle of Crede. That is.
So you brought the Crede?
Yes, Crede is a single soil, clay soil. In Val
and what were the
d'Obiadene.
Characteristics of the Crede? Yeah. What do you get from that, mineral or?
No, it's more floral.
Floral.
More floral.
On the nose and the palate?
Yes, in the nose, as you can taste.
All right, so let's start. So it's a very pale yellow, right?
Yes, exactly.
Does that vary vintage to vintage, or this is usually the color?
Is usually the color because we do the cryomaceration. So we leave the grape, the skin of the grape with the juice for 14 hours.
All right, tell me what you get on the nose.
Yeah, you can find white flower. You can find the rose flavor.
Yes, subtle.
You can find apple flavor. You can find pear flavor, and also some tropical food like as a fruit like lychees.
Yes, little exotic. Now the mouthfeel, typical of a Prosecco, a little lighter, a little heavier. I mean, how would you?
In the mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, the mouth is rich because for a Prosecco this is a lot of body.
Yes.
Thanks to the kind of soil, thanks to the position very steep in the hills of Valdobbiadene. This is a Prosecco Superiore that bring from the soil a lot of body and a long taste when you
the finish is very long.
Very long and very dry because it's the lowest sugar residual in the bottle. It's only 7 grams of sugar residual.
So this is a very dry Prosecco.
Very dry Prosecco.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel that.
You can drink this with oysters.
Well, I was going to ask you that in a second, but tell me about the palate. Does the palate replicate the nose, or what else do we get on the palate?
The palate... In the palate, you have a lot of fruit taste. It seems to have a apple in the mouth, and the pear and the peach together. It's creamy, despite the low sugar residual, but it's creamy.
It's also very creamy.
Creamy, long, and it's invite you to have another. All
right. So now, what's the perfect food pairing for this particular wine?
For this particular wine, the fish is perfect. Oysters is fantastic. You can enjoy a lot of this Prosecco Superiore.
You don't need champagne. You could drink a Creed. It would go great with it. What else? Fish?
Fish, in general, sea bass.
A nice white, delicate fish?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Fish.
All right, so that is the Bisol Creed. And that is a Prosecco Superiore, right?
Prosecco Superiore of Valdobbiadene.
And like I said, I will post the wine list answers, and I will also post the Creed that we drank, so our listeners, can look for it. Gianluca, we're going to wrap up. Let me just do a little ending here, and I'll set you on your way. If you have a question, suggestion, wine happening, or event, hit me up at sam@thegrapenation.com. That's sam@thegrapenation.com. Subscribe to the Grape Nation podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your pods. Follow us on Facebook at The Grape Nation, on Instagram, @BenRuby, on Twitter, BenRuby, and always use the hashtag The Grape Nation on both. As I mentioned before, we will post Gianluca's wine list answers, some good recommendations there. I will list the wine that we drank for our weekly wine sip. Gianluca, if we want more information on Bisol,
yes,
where can we go? To a website?
Yes, you can see in the website www.bisol.it. bisol.it.
Okay.
And
what about social media?
Social media, you can follow Bisol in Instagram and in Facebook, and also my personal profile, Gianluca Bisol, in Instagram. Instagram.
So
and
look for that.
And also in the other winery in which I have, like in Venice, you can see www.venissa.it. This VENISSA.it.
Venissa.
Or for the volcanic area, www.maeliwine.com.
Okay. I will post that too so everybody gets it. Ironically, finally on a bubbly note, this week in New York is La Fête du Champagne. Over 30 producers are coming in. My friend Daniel Jonas is bringing La Fête du Champagne to New York, November 7th through the 9th, which is this coming weekend. He'll feature over 30 of the greatest champagnes poured by the producers themselves. There'll be seminars, lunches, and dinners. There's a first press package for first-timers. Go to www.lafetteduchampagne.com. That's LAFETEDUCHAMPAGNE.com. I want to thank my guest.
Thank you.
Gianluca Bisol. Thank our engineer, Jeet, and everyone at the Heritage Radio Network. I'm Sam Ben-Ruby, and you've been listening to The Grape Nation. The Grape Nation is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Instagram and Twitter at heritage_radio. You can also find us at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be part of the food world's most innovative community? Subscribe to the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join the HRN family by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. And thanks for listening.